NFL Week 18. NFL Week 18.
We're live.
We're live. I do my best Carter impression there. NFL Week 18. A fun Week 18. We have a couple of playoff matchups. I mean, tons of playoff matchups, but a couple playoff seeds, a couple playoff berths that are left to be decided. I want to bring something up that I totally forgot about until just now when I was looking at my notes. Awful year. I don't know about you, Connor. I think we talked about it when I was in Tennessee, that episode. Awful year. Been awful. But 2-0 on 5 stars. Buccaneers -8 versus the Panthers. Never a doubt. Never a doubt, brutal. Connor. Did you put in a call and say my buddy Dylan needs some help?
I did not. Because I was rooting for the Panthers. I may or may not have bet the Panthers +8.
What now? Why were you rooting for him? Aren't draft picks on the line?
For pride, Dylan. Pride.
So you're kind of in the same boat as me, to where at this point in the year, tanking. Like a lot of people are upset about the Giants, but here's my take, right? And this was not even on the prep sheet. Here's my take. The difference between the first pick and the 6th pick in the long run is probably negligible.
In most cases, I feel like not all the time. Sometimes there's a consensus top 2-3 guys.
But there was a consensus top guy last year.
Yeah, I guess so. But in a year like this year with only two quarterbacks that should go in the top 10.
Yeah. Who Shador and Ward?
Gotta be Cam Ward, right? Yeah.
No Milrow?
Top 10 rounds, maybe.
Now we're making up rounds for the guy. We're adding rounds to the draft for him.
Didn't you hear there's 7 rounds and then XFL gets the next 3? That's usually where Milrow's going to go next. CFL.
Jalen Milrow, you are a Houston Roughneck. I don't even know if they're still a team or not. Dallas Renegade.
As far as the tanking thing goes, I like, as a Panthers fan, I've been in the bottom of the standings my fair share. I don't mind competitive losses. Like I will never root for a team. It sucks to root for your favorite team to lose. And there are certain scenarios where, yes, it'll help your draft stock. But I am with you, Dylan, where it's like, how much of a difference will one game really make?
But not even. My point is not even a game. A pick.
Yeah.
I just feel like when you're drafting, how many times has the number 1 draft pick ended up being better than?
Yeah.
I mean, what are the Giants at now? 4? I think they're 4 or 5.
Now, I will say, my attitude for this changes in the NBA because there are a consensus top 2-3 guys, generational talents, a lot of years in the draft, and I will support that. If the Hornets are 6th, I'm like, lose the last 5 games, bench everyone, go for Cooper Flag, whatever. I think that's different.
But I don't get the NBA because I thought Luka Garza was going to be I thought he was going to be a stud.
Well,
just from watching,
I don't know how you thought that.
Watching him in Iowa, the guy was a beast.
Back to basket all of a sudden, guy who can't really jump. I don't know how much room there is for that in the NBA today.
All of a sudden, I need ESPN Ocho to watch the guy play over in Serbia. He was dominating in college basketball.
He's got a roster spot right now. He's on the Wolves, doesn't play.
The Brazil Wolves with the social media team.
Yes, the team that is associated with that.
There we go. Wow, we started talking about draft stuff, and it's literally the second day of 2025. News and notes we're going to start with. The point I wanted to make, 5-star, I'm red hot. Yeah. I do have another one for this week. And I am going to – we're going into uncharted territory for this 5-star. Like this is – when I say it, your jaw might drop because I don't think it's ever been done on the history of the show before. So if you Carter, if you're watching and you're like, oh, Dylan, why don't you cut a teaser? There's your teaser. News and notes. Nick Wright says the Patriots could pick Sanders with the 1st overall pick, trade Drake May for a top 5 pick, draft Travis Hunter, and hire Deion Sanders. Now, Connor, if you're a Patriots fan, are you on board with that?
Absolutely not. Absolutely
not. Getting rid of May?
You've got a surefire starting quarterback, borderline star. I don't want to go too far yet because he's only played half a season. Drake May's the real deal. I really do believe that. And that's not me being a Tar Heel biased guy. I mean, there is some of that there, but I really do think from an unbiased perspective, Drake May is going to be good. And so I don't understand. I don't know, Dylan. I don't know. I don't know why you'd give that up for a shot at Shedeur Sanders, who may or may not be good.
Nick Wright, I am on the record. I'm on the record from our live shows that we did last year. I am a Nick Wright guy. He's
so
funny,
you agree with this?
He's funny looking. He looks like Adam Driver.
Yep.
I'm thinking. Yeah, but I'm not on board with this. I just saw that he was absolutely getting clowned.
Would Lil Wayne be the new GM or special consultant like Vrabel is for the Browns? Lil Wayne, new consultant?
I think no matter where Dion goes, Lil Wayne's going to have a spot on staff.
Okay.
What'd you say, special consultant?
Yeah, like Vrabel is for the Browns. Remember, he was like that special advisor or whatever this year.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Lil Wayne's just got,
Is you're gonna have to excuse me. You can tell my music taste, Bob Dylan. Lil Wayne, is he a guy? Maybe like
Dylan,
relaxation consultant?
His signature, how do I put this? His signature sound when he comes on for a verse is a lighter flick. So I would assume yes.
But that could, we're talking, there's lots of things. A lighter, he could be lighting a candle. He might have just had a Bath and Body Works haul.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday's a good one. Maybe he just got the Black Friday 3 for 3 Bath and Body Works candle deal. We don't know. This is not NFL. Oh, go ahead.
Will Travis Hunter's girlfriend have any type of role with the Patriots in this scenario?
What I thought of, I think
massage therapist.
That something along those lines is where I was going. That's a much nicer way to put what I was thinking. Lots of drama there. Something I would not want to be in the middle of if I was about to make a bajillion dollars playing football in the professional. And
would you want Shitter, Sanders, and Travis Hunter on the same team in the NFL? I think so. Right?
I don't think that's a problem.
I think yes.
But is it? Carter, you're going back and watching this. Don't clip this. And if you're watching this is reserved only for the full-length episode watchers.
Yep.
Jack Carpenter, I'm looking at you. Is this a situation where it's like, you get sat next to your buddy in class, and it's like, okay, we got to separate those two. Are any worries about that? Like they're goofing around too much in practice?
So you're saying Travis Hunter should be a full-time cornerback if that happens? Opposite sides of the ball.
But even sometimes you separate the two guys that are all chummy in the classroom. Yeah. They're still throwing stuff back, little spitballs back and forth across the classroom. That's a good question. You long form video watchers, you got a special treat there because that cannot be clipped. Something just came across my desk. Okay. This is why I'm not going to get political. I'm not going to get political on this show. I'm a fan of the X app, right? And the community notes, anybody can add a community note, and then you vote on it, and the clip just came across my feed as I was pulling up my bookmarks to do news and notes. It's Reese Davis asking Jeremiah Smith, can anybody stop you? And Jeremiah Smith says no. And then ESPN tweeted it. It says, offensive MVP Jeremiah Smith. This community note has been attached. The Michigan Wolverines defeated the Ohio State Buckeyes 13-10. The player in question was held to 5 catches for 35 yards and a touchdown. He was stopped often. Do we think maybe should we punish Jeremiah Smith for lying on the national stage after winning the Rose Bowl?
I just think, man, you must really love the X app because your home feed, your news feed is just tailored specifically to you, Dylan.
Oh, I'll tell you that. Oh my gosh, Connor! If it has the word Michigan, like I want my For You feed filled with it. I cannot scroll for more than 4 posts without seeing U of M coverage. I bet that yellow M emoji is probably on your page 5 million times.
Sometimes
when you when I was little, I played Rock Band for all day, day, and then I would close my eyes when I sleep, and I would still see the little bars scrolling, like when I close my eyes. Never.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying.
I see that M when I close my eyes, just scrolling on an imaginary phone screen. My phone, when I turn it off, it's like embedded in the phone. So when I put my phone to sleep,
to burn off. Yeah,
it takes a minute to fade out, like when you rub your eyes real hard.
To be fair. Jeremiah Smith was targeted, twice after halftime in that game? Let's not,
Well, okay. So are you the burner that's commenting that on YouTube? Okay, let me ask you a question, Connor. What's the reason? Why was he targeted twice in the second half?
Because Ryan Day had it in his brain that we're going to run the ball, we're going to shove it to Michigan, and we're not going to throw the ball. Meanwhile, you look what they did to Tennessee and Oregon.
I did this to Carter. I get to do it to you, too. Pop quiz. Who did Ohio State have more pass attempts against, Michigan or Tennessee?
Oh, we did this.
You were there?
Yes, I was there.
Okay, all right. So you know the answer.
Tennessee.
Yeah, no. They had more pass attempts against Michigan.
Wait, yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah, they passed.
That's the
more
point you're
against
trying to make. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So the Jeremiah Smith
okay.
thing. Well, yeah, of course you're not going to pass to the guy that can't make a catch in the second.
Okay.
Yeah, of course. Anyway, this is not college football show.
No.
Okay. Going through news and notes. No, that's college football. I'm not going to do it. I was going to do it, but I'm not going to do it. Okay. Atlanta Falcons fan was caught putting a Pitts jersey back on. A jersey he had taken off. He put it back on after Kyle Pitts scored a touchdown. Do you have an issue with that?
Yes, I do.
No. I think that's perfectly fine.
It's like the people that walked out of the Game 6 of the finals when the Heat and the Spurs played, and then Ray Allen hit that corner 3 to send it to overtime, and the fans were like banging at the door trying to get back in, and they wouldn't let him in.
So, well,
you made your decision, but maybe I'll make a special exception for Kyle Pitts because fans of Kyle Pitts have been through the ringer. I'll say that.
You can be frustrated with Kyle Pitts if he doesn't score a touchdown in the first half. I think that's fair. I in my mind, the jersey situation is different than the situation you just explained.
It's less serious.
But yeah, I thought just watching the video, I thought that was an all-time moment. Micah Parsons said, I think this was from the Eagles game this past week. Micah Parsons said, quote, if you take away the scoreboard, the game would have been close. The score is 41-7. Does Micah Parsons know ball? Because that's kind of something a ball knower would say.
That's a great narrative spin by Micah Parsons. I'll say that.
Well, no, that's not the question I'm asking. Does Micah Parsons know ball? That's a ball knower thing.
He does know ball.
Okay. All right.
He does know
Simple
ball.
as that.
That sounds like something a certain someone on this podcast would say.
The final score is not always not a college football show. I was going to make a college football reference, not a college football show. The Packers, Green Bay Packers, 3-4 against teams over 500. Ultimate fade position in the playoffs. You have to pick one team to fade. Packers, Commanders. Packers or Commanders?
Oh boy, Washington Commanders. Sorry guys.
I think it's Commanders.
It's the Commanders, and yes, the Packers' record against over 500 teams, sure, but you know who's in the division? The 14-win Lions and the 14-win Vikings. So it's not the same as the Commanders. And love Jaden Daniels. He's been great this year, but I'm still willing to trust Jordan Love in a playoff game more so than Jaden Daniels' debut. I think fading the Commanders.
I think you're right. I think you're right there. The important
they're going to come for us.
They will, and we'll be right. The important point you brought up is the fact they play in the NFC North and they have the Vikings and the Lions twice a year. That's right. That's brutal. This is kind of a news and notes. It's my last one that can kind of open a broader discussion that I'm interested in having.
Okay.
Is Raheem Morris going to get fired?
Now, why would you say that?
Well, there's two things. When I wrote this, there must have been something topical because I didn't write down why. The first one I'm thinking is the Kirk Cousins, Michael Penix decision. The second one, wasn't there a timeout controversy with the last the game against the Commanders? Wasn't there?
The clock management stuff. Yes, there was some controversy on that. No, I don't think he gets fired because as the GM, as the front office of the Atlanta Falcons, you don't draft Michael Penix top 10 unless your plan all along is to play him. I mean, I don't think
it doesn't have to be this year, but
right. Well, they didn't expect it to be this year. They didn't expect it to be this soon. A midseason change. It was pretty dramatic the way it happened. They didn't plan for that, but this was the long-term plan. You don't draft a guy if you don't plan on implementing him. So sure, it happened sooner than what they thought, but this was the plan all along. So no, and you don't think, but he didn't do that without getting permission from the front office either.
I think that is probably a good point. But yeah, I don't want you to act like we're reinventing the wheel here by saying you don't draft a guy just to have him sit the bench. Well, yeah, of course you draft a guy to play. It's just a matter of you're in the middle of a playoff race and you have a guy that, hasn't looked great, but he's played playoff games before.
I actually think that gives credit to Raheem Morris, Dylan.
Oh my gosh, what kind of credit?
To make that decision when you are in the middle of a playoff race to move away from a guy because you know he's not going to win you a playoff game. I think all the credit in the world. You don't want to stay on a sinking ship just because it's still floating.
So we're giving more credit to the head coach that's making bad decisions at the worst times?
anyone that watches football could see Kirk Cousins was going downhill, couldn't move around. I sincerely doubt he was going to win them a playoff game or get them in the playoffs, like playoff race wise.
All of a sudden, we forget about the Eagles game. All of a sudden, we forget about all these games early in the year. It's what have you done for me lately?
4 months ago?
But it's over. We're dealing with large sample sizes here, Connor. And
they gave him time.
I need it official. I have a Falcons to win the Super Bowl ticket. I am rooting against the Falcons.
Because you're a Kirk guy.
I'm rooting for the Falcons to miss the playoffs. I want serious ramifications for whoever made this decision. To sit a veteran that's been there before in the middle of a playoff race for a rookie, granted he's like 40 years old, but for a rookie is, I won't get it. I'll
be honest. I think it gives them more credit to make that decision, to look yourself in the mirror and be like, we're winning these games, but how are we winning them? And then all of a sudden Cousins starts losing games, looking terrible, and hasn't thrown a touchdown pass in 4 weeks. Good for them for making that decision to be like, okay, a rookie Michael Penix, who hasn't started a single game in this league, gives us a better chance to win. And that means Kirk was really bad, which he was. They gave him time to improve.
Michael Penix hasn't been great.
No, but I still think maybe after a couple weeks, he might give him the best chance to win a playoff game.
Well, he's got a chance to pad the stats this week. I'll tell you that.
Okay, yeah.
Are you a Hamilton guy?
Hamilton, I'm familiar.
Okay. I promise it's topical. If Raheem Morris does get fired, he could play Aaron Burr on Broadway. I saw a press conference. Burr, sir. It was shocking how similar those two look. Lamar Odom, I actually think, or Leslie Odom, not Lamar Odom's basketball.
Lamar Odom,
he's a former basketball player.
Christ.
Leslie Odom Jr. I think they're twins. That man could be Aaron Burr.
That's a good take. Aaron Burr.
That's all I got for news and notes this week. Yeah. Do you have any news and notes by chance? I know player incentives.
Yeah. Do you want to do that first?
Yeah. Let's get into that. I don't have anything, so you're gonna have to take point.
Yeah. So I'm gonna run through these incentives, and I want you to tell me yes or no, and expand on it if you think they're gonna hit them, or if maybe if they deserve to. Take them whatever direction you want to, because the number one. We'll just start here. The number one incentive that you'll see if you scroll on TikTok, if you get on X, if you get on Instagram, you're going to see all these fake cappers and handicappers with their little records and, we're up this many units in the VIP Discord. They're going to say, Mike Evans needs 5 catches and 85 yards for a $3 million bonus. Saints have a bottom 10 secondary in the NFL. That seems way too easy. Why wouldn't we take that, Dylan? Is there a world where that doesn't happen?
What gets me... What exactly are you asking me? If I think it's going to happen or my thoughts on it?
Let's go thoughts on it first.
Here's my thoughts. Do people think that sports books don't have access to this information as well?
Exactly.
If anything, there's probably more of an edge to betting under than over.
I think so.
Right?
Because if what his line is like 90 something right now. So if you parlay 5 catches and 85 yards, which is what he needs, you're probably damn near even money. I would hate to know how many people bet that this weekend. I would hate to know.
Does Todd Bowles seem like a guy? Like, does he seem maybe he's a bad guy and doesn't want Mike Evans to get it? Maybe he subs him out halftime.
Well, I don't know. The thing is, this is a must win for the Bucs to win the NFC South. They have to win this game.
Yeah, but you're playing the Saints. Let's say they go up. Rattler, you got Rattler at quarterback. You go up a touchdown, you're probably safe.
Weirder things have happened to where, let's say this game is close. All of a sudden, Mike Evans has got 3 targets. It's not a guarantee. Like, if this game is close, we can't just be like, go target Mike Evans for the incentives. Like, they have to win. They have to focus on winning. So it makes me a little skeptical that this is a must-win game for them. It's not just a throwaway.
That's true. That's a good point. And my thoughts, every year, week 17, week 18, we start seeing these posts. And like I said, the one thing that I always think of is we aren't the only ones that know. Like, if everybody starts betting it, like at some point, it just becomes too high. It's too high. And maybe there's even value on betting under instead of over.
Yeah, there might be. Next one, Geno Smith. Geno Smith, 186 pass yards for a $2 million bonus. Seahawks win gives him another $2 million bonus. So a potential $4 million bonus there for a win and 186 pass yards against the Rams, who are resting all their starters.
Why would the win matter? Or is that win like 9? Is it to be over 500?
Let me get stats part on it.
Odd,
They're 9-7, so 10 wins would be the $2 million bonus. And there's they're minus 6.5 right now. Jimmy G starting for the Rams. I don't think Sean McVay plays a single starter in that game.
That's a tough incentive for anybody that says wins aren't a quarterback stat. If he's getting bonuses paid out for wins,
yeah.
I think that one's probably a bit more realistic. Rams have no reason to play anybody. But I'm not saying that they will, but I think there's a slight seeding implication where
so they will host the playoff game no matter what, but it's just whether they're not they're a 3 or 4 seed.
3 or 4. Yeah.
And I don't think Sean McVay cares.
No, I don't think so either.
Well, fun note on that. It's happened twice already. Did some research. 2017 and 2023, Sean McVay has rested his starters with a playoff position secured, but there's still seeding implications. He still rested his guys. Even when the seed itself is not locked down, but they're in the playoffs, he still rests them. So,
do they lose the games?
I don't know. I don't know. Backup quarterbacks, who's their backup last year? I don't even know. I can't even remember. Jimmy G this year, though.
Bennett. Oh, was it Stetson Bennett?
He came in, but wasn't it somebody else for a while too? Like John Walford? Maybe that was 2017.
That sounds like a Rams backup. Quarterback name.
We'll go through these next ones quick. Cortland Sutton, 82 yards for $500K bonus. Chiefs resting the starters. Broncos need to win.
Yeah.
I think, I like that one. I like that one. J.K. Dobbins needs 58 rush yards for $150K. Last time they played Vegas, he had 135. Vegas is ranked 28th in tackling defense.
Jim Harbaugh, all around good guy. I think and the ultimate troll job. The ultimate troll job would be that J.K. Dobbins, Ohio State guy. He doesn't play. No. He pulls him like the last play of the game. He needs 5 yards to get it. Put in Hassan Haskins.
Well, they don't need the game, do they? The Chargers are in.
Yeah, Chargers are in. They don't need the game.
Dobbins has been banged up. Does he even play?
That's a good question.
That's tough.
We should know by now, shouldn't we?
This is your team, Dylan. Tony Pollard, 83 rush yards for $250K bonus. 2 rushing touchdowns for a $250K bonus. Tyjae Spears already ruled out. Does Tony Pollard pick it up against the Houston Texans?
Pollard's been banged up too. I feel
like he plays. Though.
I don't know who else you'd have, honestly, and they haven't activated anybody that I know of.
Yeah.
Maybe Tony Pollard payday.
A couple more here. Baker Mayfield. This is an interesting one. Tell me if you've heard of this before. He has to finish top 10 in yards per attempt for $500K. He's
yards per attempt?
Yards per attempt. That's what I read. I've read that in like 3 different places.
That explains all of the chucking down the field this year.
That plays into Mike Evans, too. He's currently 8th.
So what I'm hearing is
Mike Evans 100 yards, but under 3 catches.
Yeah, there we go. Hey, I'm in. You don't have to convince me for that one.
All right, Marquez Valdez-Scantling needs a touchdown for $250K. If you want a dart, sure.
Healthy?
Yeah, he's playing for the Saints. They play the Bucs, right? Yeah. And then last one here. This is a big one. Zach Ertz for the Washington Commanders. They're playing the Cowboys. He needs 2 touchdowns for $250K.
Oh my gosh.
9 catches for $250K and 90 yards for $250K.
He just had a monster week last week too.
I know.
We wouldn't even be having a conversation about him if it wasn't for that last week.
He's a veteran, though. I wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't see a lot of time.
Yeah.
Anyways, there's the week 18 incentives. I would tread lightly because I cannot express to you enough how many of these posts I've seen.
Oh my
gosh. A TikTok slideshow or a Twitter thing where it's like, oh man, like insider analysis. Check this out. Like everyone can see it. I don't understand it.
It's not.
So tread lightly.
There is no edge. I might just go a completely opposite of him and take the under.
I feel like you probably make money doing that.
Yeah.
Anyways,
game previews.
Week 18 incentives. There you go.
Game previews. We got some big ones. We're going kind of long. It's already 24 minutes. It's what happens when Carter's away. We're just here chopping it up.
Right? That's right.
No one except me and you here.
No guidance. It up.
Bengals at Steelers. Bengals 2.5-point favorite. Over under 48. Now playoff implications here. Steelers can still win the division. They need the Ravens to lose to the Browns as what did you say, a 20-point favorite?
It is now 20.5-point favorite.
Jeez, that's crazy. So they need the Ravens to lose, the Steelers win. They will host a playoff game. If not, they've already locked up a wild card spot. But the Bengals fighting for their playoff lives. They need to beat the Steelers. The Chiefs need to beat the Broncos. And the Jets need to beat the Dolphins. That's the scenario we're looking at for the Bengals. So, Connor, what gives here?
So the first thing I want to point out is the Ravens-Browns game is before this one. It's at 4:30. So there might be a little scoreboard watching where now there is seeding implications where if the Steelers, even if they don't win the division, if they win, they're a 5 seed, they play Houston. That's a pretty favorable matchup. Oh, yeah. You want to play Houston. But if they lose, they're a 6 seed, and I think they would play Baltimore, which obviously is a much tougher matchup. But if you're Mike Tomlin, does Mike Tomlin value resting his guys more than, trying to jockey for a matchup? I think he's one of those coaches that doesn't really care. Now, obviously, you want to play Houston more than Baltimore. But if you're the Steelers, it's almost like they have that mentality of, screw it, we'll play whoever.
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah. I would think...
Because the Ravens are probably going to win. So then it comes down to seeding.
The last matchup for the Steelers and the Ravens obviously did not go the way that the Steelers would have hoped. But historically, Lamar and the Ravens have not played very well against the Steelers. I can't even remember if George Pickens was back for that Ravens matchup either. For some reason I'm thinking his first game back was Christmas Day. I don't know.
He did not play in that loss to the Ravens.
So maybe you're right, and the Steelers are approaching this as it doesn't really matter who we play. Maybe they're confident about playing the Ravens, and they think that the last matchup was a fluke. That's very, very well possible.
I just feel like Mike Tomlin's one of those coaches that could be like, all right, we've been banged up all year. There's guys like, especially Watt or Najee Harris, George Pickens, whoever that are banged up. Maybe they value getting that rest more than trying to jockey and go all out for a seed. I don't know. As far as the actual game goes, the Steelers' offense has really been struggling the last 3 weeks. They've put up 13 points, 17 versus the Ravens, 13 versus the Eagles, and then 10 versus the Chiefs. They've averaged under 300 yards in those games. Run game's inconsistent. Russ has struggled lately. Yes, it's been without Pickens for the majority of that, but they've fallen off. They've taken a step back the last few weeks as they've played better competition. And that defense, which has been their calling card all year, Dylan, they've allowed 30 points a game over the last 3 weeks. They gave up 44 to the Bengals less than a month ago. They've allowed 400 yards per game over the last 3 games. That's 4th worst in the NFL behind Detroit, Carolina, and the Giants. What gives here? Pittsburgh has been stumbling. Do you see them coming back this week, especially with a little bit of a lack of motivation?
Yeah, it's tough. I think we are.
I don't see it.
I think we're looking at a scenario. It's even tough to give a pick here, if you want me to be honest. Both quarterbacks looked great the last time they played each other. Russ threw for 414 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Burrow had 309 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. And I rattled that off, and there is a part of me that thinks I don't have a strong feeling on a side, but there is a part of me that thinks maybe under here if the Ravens end up winning and the Steelers take, like, if you take it now at 48, it's probably only going to go down if the Ravens win, and they don't play their starters. Jamar Chase has just been a beast, yards after catch. There's so many things going on here against the Steelers. The Steelers still do have that intermediate and deep passing threat with Pickens, and the Bengals don't defend well against that, but I think we're just finding over the course of the season that is tough to hang your hat on that and say, that's how we're going to beat you guys. And anybody, not even just the Bengals. So I'm still sussy for Russie. I need that on the record. I'm still sussy for the Russie Super Bowl, but things are looking bleak.
I think so too. And don't get me wrong, the Bengals defense is terrible. They've been awful all year, but Joe Burrow, must-win game. He's somehow re-entered MVP conversations. That's how good he's been. They might not even make the playoffs, and he's 3rd in MVP odds right now. He's been on fire. I trust him in that offense in a must-win game more than I trust the Steelers in a potential lack of motivation in a spot where they know they're in already. Mm-hmm. If you're the Bengals, you come out and win, and you have a pretty good chance of getting in, I think, because I don't think Carson Wentz is any pushover this week against the Broncos. I think that's still up in the air. So Bengals must-win spot on Saturday. I like them to cover 2.5 here. I do like the under, though. I do like the under. I'm with you on that.
Feels like if you're going to take the only way this total is going to go is down, I would think. Joe Burrow leads the NFL in completions and yards on passes under 2.5 seconds this season, while being tied with Baker Mayfield for the most touchdowns on such passes. So even if you wanted to give credence to the Steelers defense that you've pointed out hasn't been that great the last few weeks,
have not.
It seems like that Zach Taylor and Joe Burrow are kind of figuring out how to work around the lack of protection, especially in pass protection.
He took 7 sacks against Denver last week. Joe Burrow did. That's got to be better.
Yeah, I think they're going to make that an emphasis. I think the Steelers win this. Would it
win this? You think Steelers win this?
No, I'm sorry.
Ah.
I think the Bengals win this. And I would lean under. How do you feel about the Bengals' playoff chances heading into this week?
The obvious answer is you don't want to see Joe Burrow in round 1. You don't.
Yeah.
So you mean like chances to make it, or if they get in?
Yeah, to make it.
Honestly, Dylan, I think there's a very good chance they make the playoffs because there's a decent chance this is Aaron Rodgers' last game. Dolphins are starting Snoop Huntley again, which he looked serviceable last week, but I wouldn't bank on that 2 weeks in a row. So all of a sudden, Jets beat the Dolphins, and then the Broncos are 10.5-point favorites over the Chiefs, which they're resting everyone. But you mentioned it in our group chat. Is Andy Reid taking the week off?
No.
I'm with you. Bo Nix should never be favored by double digits, and Carson Wentz is not one of these, no shots fired here. He's not one of these Jake Hainers that comes in that's never played a snap in NFL football before, or a Tim Boyle. Carson Wentz was a good quarterback in this league for a few years. He knows what he's doing. So I don't think it's that far-fetched. I don't think it's as crazy as the odds make it seem to be.
10.5 or 10
Ridiculous.
or whatever it was. And obviously now we're not going to fully preview this game, but just as Bengals playoff talk, as all encompassing, number one rule of the show, fade the Chiefs as a field goal favorite or more.
Yep.
Number 2 rule, you take them as an underdog. And to me,
does that apply with Carson Wentz?
I think it does.
Oh,
10
boy.
points. Wait, so what would we make? I mean, obviously there's other people sitting out too. It's not just Patrick Mahomes, but you're not going to sit here and tell me that the Chiefs aren't at least a 3-point favorite if they're playing everybody. You think there's a 13-point swing?
I think that's insane, especially against a rookie quarterback.
But here's the counterpoint to that. Do the Chiefs throw the game to not have to face the Bengals? Because the Bengals are the only team. They're the only team that's ever given the Chiefs any kind of consistently given them issues.
The Chiefs have had this black magic all year. Field goal blocks, missed field goals, last-second field goals to win the game, last-second touchdowns. They've had the black magic all year, Dylan, and it would not shock me if, the Carson Wentz and the Chiefs are playing well, and then all of a sudden there's like a game back-breaking pick six, or the Broncos get like a safety or something, and the Chiefs lose, but Joe Burrow's not being seen in round 1. That wouldn't shock me. That would not shock me in the slightest. Would you put it past Andy Reid to do that? Because I don't know.
I don't know, man. There's a lot of things that could go. I've been on the Bengals train. I said I think they're going to make the playoffs. It'd be very interesting to see, and that is a team I would not want to see round 1.
That's what I was going to close with here is you don't want to see Joe Burrow round 1. As bad as that defense is, this offense can put up 40 points without any given week.
Against some of the best defenses.
Right, exactly. Like to have a passing game like that and then Chase Brown's emerged as a pretty good running back in the backfield, you don't want to see him in the playoffs. So, they're 8-8. Defense is horrible, but man, they're still dangerous.
Bills, Bengals round 1. Oh.
NFL wants them in.
Yeah.
NFL wants the Bengals in.
I would agree with that. All right. Next game, last game, biggest game of the week, Sunday Night Football. We have the Vikings at the Lions. The Lions are now a 3-point favorite. The total is now 56.5. Open at 58. An astronomically high total, but given what happened last matchup, makes all the sense in the world. This game is for a bye. This game is for the division. This game is for a huge advantage in the playoffs. Who do you got here, Connor?
I have got the Detroit Lions. I'm just going to start off and say it. Defense has been horrible the last few weeks since they've had all those injuries. They've given up the most total yards in the NFL over the last 3 games. That Lions offense and Jared Goff, I trust them more than Sam Darnold. And it's for a very simple reason. Jared Goff has played in these games before. He's played in the Super Bowl. He's played in games that matter. And I love Sam Darnold. Don't get me wrong. Sam Darnold's been great. But is this the most important game of his career? What other game of this magnitude has Sam Darnold actually played in? Genuinely. I can't think of one. I can't think of one. Seriously.
Rose Bowl?
I was going to say back to college maybe. But Jared Goff's done this. He's been here before. Dan Campbell's been here before. I like the Lions here, even with that banged up defense, even with David Montgomery out. I trust Jared Goff at home in a dome more than I do this Vikings defense on the road. And The other point I want to bring up, and I'm sure you had this on your notes as well, we talked about it last time they played. Vikings defense blitzes at the highest rate in the NFL. However, Detroit's O-line is very good, and Jared Goff is second in the NFL in passer rating when blitzed, and sixth best offensive grade when blitzed, according to PFF. So there's one thing he can do. It's throw under the blitz, throw when he's blitzed, and that's what the Vikings love to do. I like the Lions here. I like him to cover 2.5. And that doesn't mean I'm shitting on the Vikings or anything like that, but I do like the Lions here.
So I alluded to some 5-star talk.
Oh boy,
2-0 this year. Bucks
No big
-8. The other 5-star. I had to go back and check the tape. The other 5-star Lions, when they played the Vikings the first time, I think they were something similar. I feel like maybe anywhere from, it was less than a field goal favorite. I'm going to do the impossible, and I'm going 5-star on the Lions twice in one season against the same team. I'm going.
That is ridiculous.
It's all Lions here. I mean, and I was at the beginning of the year so low on this Vikings team. Oh, they're lucky. Oh, Sam Darnold, we really going to trust this guy? The defense is a little gimmicky. Relying on the blitz all the time. And,
boomer bust.
Boomer bust. That's maybe a better way to put it. But we're looking at a Lions team here that has just impressed all year. Amon-Ra's been just absolutely amazing. I just don't think that the Vikings have the guys to do it. Now, this could fully be contingent on whether
they do have the guys to do it, but Detroit's offense, I think, is one of the only offenses in the league that can beat them in a shootout, I think.
But their defense, even banged up, I think has enough to stifle the Vikings as well. And it's going to be a great game, but I just don't see how the Vikings can. We've seen it already. I understand it was the field goal the first time they met, but you look at what the Lions do well. I mean, on offense, number 1 in long passing, number 1 play action passing, number 4 deep passing. Like we have, what's the difference between long and deep passing? I'm gonna have to have a gripe with the
Stats
NFL
department.
Yeah, NFL Pro over here giving me a long passing and deep passing stats. Then defensively, let me rephrase that. Vikings offensively last in rushing in the red zone. 29th in pressure allowed. There are just so many things here when you match up the teams that the Lions do so much better, and I hate it. I have Vikings fan. My dad's a Vikings fan. Jagan's a Vikings fan.
Yeah.
I think they'll be just fine in the playoffs.
I do
but
too.
I think the Lions win this game -2.5. I'll even go -3. 5-star play. We're going to go for the sweep. I think it's all Lions here, and
I like it.
Sounds like we're on the same page.
We are, and look, the loser of this will be the first 14-win wildcard team in NFL history.
It's crazy.
And they're going to play on the road in LA or against the winner of Atlanta, Tampa Bay, whoever wins that division. So whoever loses this game, I think they're going to win the first round of the playoffs. So I don't want Vikings fans to see this and think that we're pooping on the Vikings, because we've been proven wrong on them. I was calling their bluff 10 weeks in. I was like, this isn't real. Sam Darnold, he's going to turn into a pumpkin at midnight and water's going to find its level, yada, yada, yada. I was wrong. The Vikings are legit. They're the real deal. I do think this is more of a positive for the Lions than it is a negative for the Vikings.
Vikings, Super Bowl contenders?
Yes.
I think I have to.
After the Packers game, I have to.
Yep. I think
my hand has been forced.
I have no option.
And interesting stat for you. It's a little misleading because there's been a lot of games with some fluky window dressing scores at the end. But the Vikings are 9-1 in one-score games this year. They've done it again. They've done it again.
They've done it again.
The one loss was to the Lions.
Yeah, that's true. They've done it again, but also I think at a certain point, it's a coaching thing. And Kevin O'Connell is, if he's not in the lead for coach of the year, then why do we have the award?
I don't want to credit him fully for Sam Darnold's resurgence, but how many teams or how many coaches could get this out of Sam Darnold? Genuinely.
And how many teams are kicking themselves in the butt right now?
And you know what? Our good friend Brian, shout out Brian, friend of the show, he messaged us and was like, he sent the Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold Panther screenshot that's been going around, making the rounds. And he said, how do you feel about this? I'm not mad. Neither one of them would have had success in Carolina. Their careers would have died if they stayed in Carolina. So I'm not mad.
They're tall.
They are tall, Dylan.
They're tall.
They're all tall.
See over the offensive line. Just saying.
Oh,
Just
man.
saying. All right. You have anything you want to leave us off with here, Connor? This is your one chance to say anything with no repercussions from Carter.
Oh, that's tough. I had some more games written down I wanted to quickly run through. No repercussions. I'm tired of the Carolina basketball slander on Twitter, Carter. I'm tired of it.
He's slandering?
He's slandering, and maybe rightfully so, but just let me do it. Let me do it myself.
It's like, no, you can pick on your little brother, but other people can't.
Exactly.
No, other people can't pick on your little brother. Well, what were the games you wanted to run through? We could touch on them real quick.
Just a couple. We don't even have to go through them that much. Just a couple that stood out to me. Jets are plus 1.5 against the Dolphins. I touched on it a minute ago. This could be Rodgers' last game, looking for his 500th touchdown pass. I don't think Aaron Rodgers will go out on a bad note. Snoop Huntley starting. I think the Jets win this game. So that
would not surprise me.
First one I had. We touched on the Rams resting their guys. Seahawks have shot up from -4 to -6.5. I don't even think it's enough. I think they do throw out the starters. I think the Seahawks play everyone. They probably wallop the Rams here. Panthers +8 against the Falcons. I'm back. Dylan.
You're back?
I'm back on the Panthers +8. I think there's going to be a little scoreboard watching. If Tampa Bay goes up early on New Orleans and the Falcons sideline gets a little deflated, Bryce Young ends the season on a strong note, and give me Bijan Robinson props. Halfback dive.
Yeah.
Up the middle.
Yeah. Right.
Halfback dive.
All game. That's the thing. The Falcons, if they do find themselves in a playoff spot, their game plan has never been to let Penix throw the ball. So it's going to be, we don't need to do it again.
Yep.
But I do think +8, huh?
+8 in Atlanta.
Yeah.
But the Panthers at least know they have nothing to play for.
That's true. I'm playing with nothing to lose.
Eagles -3 against the Giants, even with Kenny Pickett or whoever playing. No way the Giants win again. That's my sole analysis. No shot the Giants win 2 in a row.
Drew
Give me the
Lock,
Eagles there.
comeback player of the year.
Looking like Joe Montana out there. Last one, Chiefs +10.5 at the Broncos.
Yeah.
Give me a break. Give me a break. Bo Nick's favorite. I don't care if it's Snoop Huntley or I don't care if it's Tim Boyle. I don't care if it's Vinny Testaverde. Bo Nick should not be favored by 10 points.
I would completely agree with that. I took Kansas City. I took the Commanders -4.5. I took the Bears +10.
Oh.
And I took the Chargers. I got a bad number on that. I got Cardinals at a pick 'em against the 49ers. And they're like a 4-point favorite now. Because
So
the
who's
49ers
starting?
are sitting
Is the
everybody.
pastor not starting for the 49ers? Josh Dobbs?
I think he is.
Oh,
I know
boy.
Purdy's not.
What a treat.
The Pastronaut.
What a treat.
Just like good times. Just like old times.
Oh, man.
All right. It's an NFL
Anything
show.
you want to get off your chest?
Carter's going to hate this.
Oh, boy.
So, I should probably tell him it's in here, but I was watching the Oregon-Ohio State game
Okay.
at my in-laws, and the show comes up in conversation. And
The Karterkast.
Yes, Karterkast does. I was wearing my Oregon stuff that Carter got me. So the Oregon shirt, Oregon hat.
Yeah.
Did you buy that? I said, no, Carter got it for me. One of my brother-in-laws, and this is maybe good for you, asks if that's the one with the big head.
You know, I think
Tough. That's tough.
the one with the big head, because that doesn't. If you watch this on video, if you watch this on video, I don't know if you would necessarily be able to tell who he's talking about, because my head is also huge, Dylan.
That's what. Okay, I will clarify. That's what he meant, because I know he watches the video, so he's not talking about like egotistical big.
No,
head.
I know. I agree.
Us three, we all got big heads.
Was he
I'm
talking
like
about
7
Carter?
3/4. Yeah, he was talking about Carter.
Okay.
I said Nike hat. I said Nike hat. Gray Nike hat.
Oh my gosh. Maybe it's the angle. My head is definitely huge.
Oh, Connor, you're not on the show enough for them to know who you are. So.
This one week and have Dylan coming for you on the Dylan cast.
But
House rules here on the Dylan cast.
That's how it goes around here. Thank you for watching. I got to run through a couple things like Carter. Let's see. SeatGeek code Karterkast, $20 off your first purchase of $50 or more. If you want to go see a Charlotte's Hornets game, buy out the whole top row. If you want to,
you got to spend. You get a whole party bus down there.
Take your youth group. Take the local school. Whoever you need to do to get that $50 minimum met. Go do it. Thank you for watching. I don't know when it's going to be live, but we'll have college football semifinal previews up very shortly because those games are next week. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment. Connor?
Yeah, Carter and I recorded an NBA show in person, so check that out. That was a lot of fun. My first in-person podcast here on the Karterkast. A little weird at first to get used to, but it definitely helps conversation flow a lot better. So, FanDuel TV, somebody, Barstool, buy out the show, give us a studio.
There we
take
go.
Off.
Yeah, I don't think the world is prepared for what we would do with a studio.
Like a full studio, yeah, full equipment.
Yeah, we would bring the world down. All right.
Dylan,
Thank you, everybody.
Pleasure.
It's been a pleasure, Connor. Until next time.